Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman. Welcome to another episode of Judges for Dummies. I was going to do combine Judges 4 and 5 because Judges 5 is some of the oldest Hebrew poetry. Exodus, 15, Song of the Sea, and Judges 5. However, things get kind of mixed up because, as we know, this is Deuteronomistic history, and Judges 4 is commentary on Judges 5. But Judges 5 is much older and is from much different points of view in the Holy War hymn than in Judges 4. For background for this, you might want to check out Joshua 11, and also Psalm 83, and in Genesis, I believe it's Genesis 35. And you'll see what I mean. Judges 4 and 5, especially 4, as we're talking about the commentary, is really interesting, because here we have one of the first mentions of a prophetess, or a female oracle. And she sits under the tree of Deborah and gives oracles. And in Genesis 35, we find out what this tree is. It was originally known as the weeping oak. So look back in Genesis for Deborah, and when you find that in, I believe it's Genesis 35, you'll see this tree that the prophetess Deborah is sitting under and giving oracles. And here, the commentary does not attribute the win to the prophetess Deborah, nor to the military general Barak, but to the divine, to Adonai, and to the woman who puts a tent peg through Sisera's head, and Jael, Heber's wife, who was a loyalist after Heber the Kenite separated from the other Israelis. He was friends with Jabin, the king of Canaan, or Hazor. And here you have a loyalist, covenant loyalist, a female covenant loyalist. When Sisera tries to find refuge in Jael's tent, she puts a tent peg through his temples. So this is a really interesting story. And the background of this, think about this. Think about the chaos that's going on. Also think about the role of the prophet. So here you have a female prophet. You have a female hero. You have divisions, even among family members and clans, on who they support and who they do not. And this displays some of that political chaos. Also, what's really interesting is the role of the prophet. Here, Deborah declares war. She gives oracles to the people when they ask. So here the people for this war came right to her. And it appears that they overrode Barak's military or control, and the prophetess declared war. And as you see prophets gaining momentum, the office of the prophet will be established in the monarchy and even act as a balancing system for the monarchy. And as time progresses, you get people like Samuel and then Elijah take on more and more roles as parts of the government. So what's really interesting here is how some of this is put together, and also the difference between Judges 4, which is the commentary, a more modern commentary, and what the hymn or the holy war poem is actually about in Judges 5. So read some of that in Judges 4. Think about it. Think about what's going on, and also attributes given to the divine. Here we have the divine's attributes are a little bit muted in this commentary. But when you get to the Holy War Hymn, the divine uses natural disasters to overcome the army of Sisera. So there you have it. In short, read this. There are female heroes in this, which is really interesting. And you see the chaos, the political chaos, the religious chaos, and how families are split with one another. And take a look at some of those verses that I mentioned and texts that I mentioned as background to this, because the poem of Judges 5, which we'll get to next, is very, very interesting. So in short, I just wanted to read parts of this, which might be relevant when Sisera gets to Jael's house and asks for food and drink, and also, where was he going? Where was he going? He was going to a city of refuge. And back then, according to biblical law, that cities of refuge, kill somebody, you stay in the city. This was so people could flee to these cities. I believe that Moses did after he killed the Egyptian, went to one of these cities. So that's where he was going to. And he thought that Heber, the Kenite, was one of his friends. But his wife, obviously, was not. So I'm going to read this from the Jewish Publication Society Bible. If I can find it here. Well, we'll just go from the here we have the Jewish press. Having a hard time with words. So this is from the Judica Press Complete Tanakh, and I want to read part where the tent peg goes through the temple. So here it is in verse 4:17. And Sisera fled on foot to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, for there was peace between Jabin the king of Hazor and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And he turned into her into the tent, and she covered him with a garment. And he said to her, Give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened the flask of milk, and gave him to drink, and covered him. And he said to her, Stand in the doorway of the tent, and it shall be, if any man comes and asks you, and says, Is there a man here? Then you shall say, There is not. And Jael, the wife of Heber, took the tent pin and placed the hammer in her hand, and came to him stealthily, and thrust a pin into the temple, and it pierced through into the ground. And he was in a deep sleep, weary, and he died. So here, in Judges 5, it appears that he put up somewhat of a fight. And back in the ancient Near East, it was very, very disgraceful to die at the hands of a woman. So there you have it. Take a look at this. It's a very interesting text. Think about the background. Think about the commentary. Who wrote it? Compare it with Exodus 14, and then take a look at 15. See how these commentaries, alongside with the Holy War hymns. Take care, friends, and remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.